Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. This is Breaking Ground and I'm Hina Gambhir. Our focus continues to be the latest update as far as the Middle East crisis is concerned. And viewers, we have some big news coming in at the top of this bulletin. The surge in crude oil prices. Oil prices continue to move up. And the latest update is that as we speak, Brent crude prices, in fact, have crossed $102 per barrel. Now, this is very important because high crude price is not at all a good news for oil importing countries like India and the entire world. It will have a direct impact on inflation and eventually the economic growth as well. As yesterday, for the first time, in fact, we heard from the new supreme leader of Iran that Iran is going to continue blocking the Strait of Hormuz, world's busiest oil shipping channel. That statement has also brought in a lot of tensions in the oil market specifically, and that's the reason why the crude oil prices continue to inch upward. So there you can see it was on 9th of March, first time since the war started, that oil Brent price in fact had touched $120 per barrel. Then of course it came down and settled to $114 per barrel. It cooled down a little bit on 10th and 11th of March, and then suddenly yesterday we saw again Brent crossing the $100 per barrel mark. This is the second time that it crossed $100 per barrel mark since the war started on 28th of February. And again today, as we speak, viewers, while there was a little bit marginal drop, in fact, in the crude prices in the morning, but right now as we speak, crude is on fire. It has breached the $102 per barrel mark as well. It is up right now, and this is where it is at this point in time. Let me go across to my colleague Rishabh, who is joining us on the broadcast at this point in time. Rishabh, big news there coming in. Oil shock is continuing. All the efforts that are being made by Trump administration specifically to stabilize the prices clearly not having any kind of an impact. Oil continues to remain on fire.
Well, see, one need to understand the reason behind this surge in oil prices. While, many are suggesting that, no, it won't affect the global market, but Strait of Hormuz being unstable sends a very clear message that 90% of global refined crude oil supply is affected. All your OIC countries, be it Bahrain, be it Qatar, be it Kuwait, be it Saudi Arabia, be it UAE, all these countries are impacted because of Strait of Hormuz, which Iran has virtually put a blockade on. And the moment this supply becomes a problem and alternative routes are to be taken, the alternative route comes with an extra cost, and that extra cost is being seen as the...
Rishabh, thank you very much for the moment for joining us with your inputs on this particular story. Now, viewers, it is day 14 of the war in West Asia with no signs of de-escalation. Missiles, drone attacks are continuing unabated. Fuel continues to be on fire. We just now were showing to you, in fact, how crude has breached the $102 per barrel mark as well. But viewers, Donald Trump is busy contradicting himself. Remember, a couple of days ago, he claimed that benefits of war outweigh the drawbacks of price hikes. He had claimed oil prices will fall very rapidly when the war is over. He tried to suggest war is good despite the pain at the pump. But now, according to President Trump, President of the United States of America, high oil prices are good. They may be causing pain to the entire world, but they are good for America, is the latest statement that has come from US President. Sharad Kohli, who's an economist, joining us on the broadcast this afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Sharad Kohli. Appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now. Despite all the efforts that are being made right now to stabilize the oil prices are on fire. As we speak, Brent has crossed $102 per barrel. Your thoughts?
Good afternoon to you and Times Now viewers. Indeed, the oil prices have been very volatile. From 70, just before the war, they shot up to 90, then straight away they went up to 119. Settled at around 88, remained at 88, 90, and now they've again breached 100 mark. I think this volatility is due to the mixed kind of news coming from the Middle East. We saw U.S. releasing some strategic petroleum reserves, a couple of days ago. I don't think that reserve release has helped the market. It helped temporarily. But then the tensions building up, especially because of Strait of Hormuz, from where 20% of the global oil supply is done, half of it for India for that matter. So I think that Strait of Hormuz, if it remains closed for longer, a lot of international agencies have also ratified this, that this is going to lead to increase in crude oil prices. Having said that, I would also like to add here that crude is traded in commodity markets as well. And I would like to name two commodity markets, MCX in India and COMEX in New York. Now, there is a lot of speculation which happens in crude on the basis of the news flow. That the moment you hear something, the forward traders or the speculators, they tend to put their bets on crude. They purchase the contracts, both for buy and sell. So a lot of volatility that you see here is also because of the the speculation which goes on in crude oil. Having said that, there is no denying the fact that Strait of Hormuz is the focal point right now as far as the crude oil is concerned. This is going to severely impact the economies around the world, especially the ones which are dependent on crude oil. Import. India imports about 87% of its total requirements. So I think it's going to fuel inflation. We saw the inflation numbers coming in India shot up by 3.21, although that has got nothing to do with crude because those are previous month's numbers. But then the months to come could be even worse in terms of inflation. Same would be the state for China, for Japan, the countries which are primarily dependent on this particular route
right.
as far as crude is concerned.
All right. Mr. Sharad Kohli, appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. Now, viewers, let's tell you the latest statement that has been made by U.S. President Donald Trump. According to the U.S. President, the high oil prices are good, and this is what he has said. He has said U.S. is the biggest producer of oil. When oil goes up, we make a lot of money. This is what he has said now, but he is more keen on stopping an evil empire. And he's also said Iran can't have nuclear weapons. But on oil prices, the flip-flop, the contradiction in his statement clearly is something that the world is looking at right now. And let's also tell you how the attempts that were made in the last 2 days specifically have failed to bring down the prices of oil. Now, remember, IEA, International Energy Agency members, have decided to release 400 million barrels of oil into the market from their strategic reserves. The idea behind this particular decision was to ensure there is more oil in the market, and when there is going to be more oil in the market, the prices are expected to come down. But prices did not go down. In fact, this particular effort failed. We are saying it because when this happened, after that, the Brent crossed $100 per barrel mark, second time since the war started. Then what was the other effort that was made? US has now eased Russian oil sanctions. Earlier, US has said India can buy Russian oil that's already at sea. Now, in the latest update, US has allowed other countries also to buy the Russian oil that's already at sea. There's a 30-day waiver for other countries as well. Again, the attempt is to help stabilize the oil prices, bring down the oil prices, but that doesn't seem to be happening. And because after this decision came out, Brent crude, in fact, crossed $101 per barrel mark. Now, the fresh threat that has come from Trump is quite significant because this comes after Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, issued his first statement yesterday. He remained defiant on the strategic Strait of Hormuz and announced that it is going to remain shut till the conflict continues. In a strongly worded statement, Mojtaba Khamenei also signaled that attacks in the region are far from over. He warned that Gulf states should clarify their position on Iran and shut US bases or face destruction. Mojtaba Khamenei further vowed that Iran will not forget what he called the blood of martyrs and promised retaliation. Taking aim at Washington, the Iranian leader also dismissed America's claims of bringing stability in the region, calling them nothing more than a lie. In fact, now we have some more updates coming in at this point in time. Officials from Airline have told the news media that the company's fuel reserves at Kandahar airport were targeted last night in airstrikes by Pakistan's military regime. They also mentioned that these fuel reserves had been stored for this year's Hajj flights. This is the latest update that we are getting for you at this point in time. And security sources, in fact, have also told Tolo News that in response to last night's attacks by Pakistani military regime, the Islamic Emirate has carried out a drone strike on the military fortress in Kohat. So